Is he going to interview in Dallas if they move on from Mike McCarthy? Is he going to interview in Philadelphia if they move on from Nick Sirianni? Where else? But it's over. It's done. That came completely out of left field, Mego. Like, I thought Atlanta was in the mix. I didn't realize he was going to sit down and interview and be done with it in the middle of Wild Card Weekend. I didn't know that.
I can only hope from the strange graphic and announcement that they put out on Twitter, which if you haven't seen it, check it out. It was just strange. Like you said, it came out halftime of the Monday night game.
You sent it. I hadn't even seen it yet. And Mego's like, check this out. It's like, oh, he's done. He's interviewed with the Falcons.
It's so weird. I hope that was a one-way interview. I hope it was just a pitch from Atlanta going, hey, if you come here, this is how great it's going to be for you, Bill Belichick, legend, who handed our asses to us in that Super Bowl. Because otherwise, like, how does that interview go? I just don't get it. You sit down and you're like,
I don't know.
So give us an example of when you were presented with a challenge that you overcame, Bill. Like, all those stupid-ass questions. I said on Twitter, like, I likened it to Robert De Niro still auditioning. Like, it just feels weird. You know what you're getting with Bill Belichick. Maybe you sit down and you hash out a little bit of details about the contract, but really it just has to be a one-way thing, right? You're selling Bill. It's not the other way around. Bill's not coming in with a plan of, this is what I see for your offense.
I am shocked he had to sit down and it's a great question, Mego. How does that interview even go? Like what even happens? Is Bill charming? Is he snorting at Arthur Blank like Curran wrote yesterday? That the interactions between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick were becoming more and more like Bill's interactions with the media, where he's just snorting and coughing at you and belittling you and talking down to you. Like, how does it go? I imagine he's on his best behavior. He has to interview?
Bill has a little, like, folder, and he goes, my worst trait is that I just never know when to quit a project. I just, I'm a perfectionist. I work too hard. Yeah. I really burn the midnight oil.
And it's like, have you seen the other names they've talked to? And it's Jones and Mego, by the way. We just jump right into it here today on WEEI. We'll get into what Bill should do this year, our big question of the day, our big Q at 2. You can vote now. At Jones and Mego, what should Bill's next move be? The Falcons are a choice. Have you seen who they've already talked to, Arcand? It's like, which one of these things is not like the other? Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald.
Who? He's a guy that is in demand right now.
Yeah.
It's not Bill Belichick, but that Ravens defense.
He was in the Doobie Brothers, right? Isn't
he
that
was,
him?
But he's been linked to other teams.
Baltimore Ravens assistant head coach Anthony Weaver. Cincinnati.
The disgraced congressman from New York.
Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. Niners defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes. Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator Ehiro Ivero. That's it. You have to interview Bill with those schmucks? Like, I can't believe he has to sit down and interview. So why did he do it? Because something doesn't smell right. It's just like Bill doing a statement. I never expected Bill to do a statement next to Robert Kraft, shaking hands, which we all know now, if you have half a brain and you've read Wickersham and Reese and everybody else. It was fraudulent. It was fake. It was for show. It was a Kraft infomercial, as Brady felt about Robert Kraft when he returned to New England for that game, Tampa and New England, in 2021. It was an infomercial. It was a show. And so I'm shocked Bill did that. I'm even more shocked he did this, and this tells me there's no chance he's going to Atlanta. The fact he went and interviewed and put on like this big show, I wonder if he's just putting a for sale sign like right on the front lawn, and it's like,
what is the big show though?
I am open for bid. What do you mean? What's the big show?
The big show is a dumb graphic on Twitter. It's not like he had a camera crew.
The
following
message
him there.
is, I will sit down with anyone, anywhere. So guess what, Jeff Lurie? We probably know each other. Jerry Jones, I definitely know you. You want to bring me in? I'm open for business. For sale sign out front. You want to talk to me? Let's talk. That's what I think the takeaway is, Arcand. I don't think it's that he's interviewed with the Falcons and now it's a done deal. He's going there.
No, if it was, then they would have announced we've signed Bill Belichick to be our next head coach. Head coaches are getting signed. That's happening. If they made him an offer he couldn't refuse and he took it, then we know that. What we know is there was a meeting and they walked and went their separate ways. So he's probably not going there, is what I think about it. I wonder if they made him an offer in the meeting. I wonder if it was just sort of a, exploratory meeting to start off, or if they were gung-ho about it, because all we know so far is that Washington decides they don't want him to bring him in and don't want to interview him and aren't even going to, make an effort to do that. And Atlanta's had a meeting, and that's it. And we don't know anything else, really. That's the market so far. Two teams, and one of them's out. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's trying to build the market up for himself. I think that's a smart move.
I wonder if between the fake show last week and this interview that, again, came out of nowhere, and if you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about, Again, the Falcons tweeted this out. At least they didn't Photoshop him into like a Falcons hat and a visor and everything else. He's in Patriots gear.
Gave him like wings.
They've completed
He's doing
an interview.
the Dirty Bird.
They've completed an interview. That would be a good gif on Jamal Anderson's body. They've completed an interview with Bill Belichick. It comes out at 10:30 or whatever last night, 10 o'clock last night at halftime of the final wild card game. I wonder if it tells you Bill doesn't have as many options as we thought. And so let's get into it. At Jones and Mego. You can vote there. Our big Q at 2, our big question of the day. We start every show with it. You can dial us up. 617-779-7937. What should Bill Belichick's next move be? Dallas, Philadelphia. I imagine both those jobs are going to open very, very soon. There's lots of speculation at minimum about both. The Atlanta Falcons or retirement. Mego, why don't you start on this? What do you think Bill should do? What should his next move be?
It's certainly not what he's going to do because of the wins record, but I really think it should be retirement. This is the only way that he kind of seems to go out on top of Brady in any sense. Because all of a sudden, at this point in the carousel of the offseason, you have Dallas. Ooh, when is Jerry Jones going to call Bill? Nick Sirianni's standing up there, on the verge of tears, knowing he's going to get canned, and they're going to call Bill. Oh, Bill and Matty P reunited in Philly. And then you have Atlanta tweeting out this weird GIF, which I kind of, or graphic, I should say, which I kind of read as like, maybe Bill went down there because he likes Arthur Blank. He thinks that's a good ownership setup. And so he sits down there for a good faith sales job by them. They're pitching him. And after it, they're like, hey, Bill, can we tell people you were here? Like, what do we do? Can we put this out there? Like, can we soft launch this, that you were here?
That's what I mean.
And Bill's like, no. And then, so finally they come to an agreement where he's like, you can put out a statement that I interviewed here.
Okay, but this is why I think it's all fake and it's for show, because Bill doesn't do stuff like that. Bill would operate under a shroud of darkness. That's why I think it's fake. But you think retirement?
So I think it should be retirement. I don't think he will. I think he'll end up with one of these teams because of the wins record. He has plenty in the tank to keep coaching. But honestly, for me, it was a wake-up call when Pete Carroll comes out over the weekend and he's, talking more about his situation with the Seahawks and sounds like he wants to coach again, and maybe he'll take a year off and come back and coach somewhere else. And I'm like, Pete Carroll? I'm like, dude, you're in your mid-70s. Like, you have a championship. What are you doing? And Bill, it really, made me wake up and go, Bill, nobody's going to top you. Like, nobody is going to top you with the Super Bowls. Nobody else is going to accomplish that. I really don't think Andy Reid is going to accomplish that. Nobody else except for you seems to care about the wins record. Nobody else. Nobody else. Just hang it up right now. You can say everybody wanted you, but you decided that you wanted to kick it on Nantucket. Maybe.
But then he goes out getting fired and winning 4 games. And missing the playoffs 2 straight years.
They'll remember that. They'll remember.
Yeah, they will.
Yes. No. Do they remember that about Tom Landry?
Yes.
No.
Absolutely.
They only
remember how Jones shoved him out.
No, only because now because we're comparing him so much to what's happening with Bill.
No. It's not his legacy. His legacy isn't. But do people remember Tom Landry? Of course they remember how it ended for Landry.
Okay. And to be totally transparent, what do I think is going to happen when he goes with one of these other teams? Best case scenario, maybe God willing, he gets the Cowboys past the wild card round. Or he gets Philly past the wild card round. I don't think he's going back to a conference championship, and I don't think he's going back to a Super Bowl.
No, me neither. I don't think wherever he goes, he's winning playoff games, as I've said. Arcam, what should his next move be?
He should go to Dallas. He absolutely should. He should go there, play nice with Jerry for 2 years, get that wins record, maybe win a playoff game, do something like that, and then ride off into the sunset. No one gets to ride off after a Super Bowl anymore, except Peyton Manning. He's the only one. Everybody else, it's something else. It's not quite that, and you're right, Jones. I think him riding off into the sunset after 4-13 would just be too negative of a memory to end on for him, and he has an opportunity here, and I think Dallas is going to offer him something. So I think that that's the best move for him. I think Atlanta wouldn't be a terrible one. I think he could probably work with some things they have there, but I think that Dallas is what he should do.
Okay, if you're asking me what I think is happening, I do think all of a sudden it's Dallas. I didn't feel that way yesterday. This fake interview last night makes me think Atlanta's not for real. And I'm surprised all that happened last night. And if it sounds like an about face from yesterday, that's why. I don't think Bill would trumpet this interview and sign off on the Falcons trumpeting this interview unless there's an ulterior motive to it. Again, a for sale sign on the front lawn. Jeff Lurie, Jerry Jones, come get me because I'm talking to Atlanta. So let's go. I think he should choose the Falcons, though. I think the Falcons are his best option. And Mego, you just touched on one reason I feel that way. I heard Michael Holley make this point. I think it's a good one. If you go to Atlanta and you win a playoff game, you're a god.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to Dallas and you win 12 games, win a playoff game on Wild Card Weekend, and lose in the divisional round, you're just Mike McCarthy or Jason Garrett or somebody.
You're supposed to be Bill Belichick. You're supposed
Bingo.
to be our savior.
So that's a smaller portion of it, but does Bill want to go somewhere with low expectations where it's easy to exceed them? Or does he want to go somewhere where legitimately it's Super Bowl or bust? He could win a Super Bowl there, but if he doesn't, you're just another coach who went there and failed. So I think the expectations thing is a factor. I also think this. Bill did not take the Jets job way back in 2000. He didn't take the Jets job because he didn't have power. He didn't have personnel control. He couldn't do what he wanted. And so he bailed. He pulled the ripcord. He resigned as HC of the NYJ. He's leaving New England over a power struggle. Part of the reason he feels it went so poorly is because the Crafts eroded what he built over 20 years. Quoted in the Wickersham story, eroded it. Took away his power, cut off his legs, brought in Bill O'Brien, anointed Gerard Mayo, doesn't have power. He's not going to have it in Philly with Howie Roseman. He's not going to have it in Dallas with Jerry Jones. He may not get it in Atlanta either. Rich McKay is a potential thorn in the side. We can get into that. Florio's written about it at Pro Football Talk. They've beefed over the years when Rich McKay was on the competition committee. But if Bill can get him to go into some dark corner and hide, and Bill has real personnel control, that's the best spot for him. And if I were Bill, that's what I would want. I imagine money's equal everywhere. He's got a better chance to win a Super Bowl in Dallas or Philly. But those are also high expectations, Super Bowl or bust. And if you don't get it, you might not be there a while. Atlanta, you make the playoffs next year, you're a god. You win a playoff game or two, you're one of the best coaches they've had. I think Atlanta's the best spot for him. I think that's what he should do. It's not what I think is going to happen. And look, selfishly, I'm rooting for Dallas or Philly. That's way more fun. But if I'm Bill, I think Atlanta's the best spot. What do you guys think? Vote now at Jones and Mego on Twitter. What should Bill's next move be? Dallas, Philly, Atlanta, or retirement?